In studio with us today, our Phillies Insider Frank Klose of 97.3 ESPN.com. The Phillies mailbag is open as the Phillies getting ready to take on the Marlins. It is a final month of the season push here. A couple of weeks left for the Phils. Frank, welcome back, pal. It's the in-studio version of the Phillies mailbag.
What's up, gentlemen?
Doing well, Frank. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We had lunch today, Frank and I asked him, how do you make it through some of these Phillies games all season long, man?
Well, as you said a little while ago, it's a much different team than it was earlier in the year. I mean, how many people remember that Michael Saunders was even on this team? You know? I mean,
that's the same season. We're in the same year.
Mike Gill is the one that remembers.
Let me ask you, though. I know that maybe Hoskins, if he comes up and starts the season, but would you have rather seen these guys just from Jump Street say, look, let's just play these kids?
Yes and no.
Or is that too aggressive?
I thought that would be a little bit too aggressive. Hoskins was the one that kind of showed first among those at AAA that he was ready to come up, and really the Phillies needed to give Tommy Joseph some time to really see if he's going to be with them long term or not, and I think the answer to that is going to be no. If not only because Rhys Hoskins sort of just took the job and ran with it, but they kind of needed to see what they had, and still they needed to have some veterans that they could flip for prospects later. So, as part of the rebuilding process. So I think I think based upon how we saw the likes of Nick Williams at AAA earlier in the season, he might have been way over his head if he had started the year on the Phillies. So, but I think they did well. I think they brought them up at the right times, and certainly now they're a lot more exciting to watch than watching the lineups with Michael Saunders in it.
So sounds good, Frank. Let's get into the first question in the mailbag. Does Michael Franco have the talent, and is he underperforming? Does he just not have it? Does Michael Franco have what it takes, or is he just underperforming? That's what Bill wants to know.
Yeah, Michael Franco has been particularly frustrating because as they sort of went into this rebuild, he was really the one young player that the Phillies and their Phillies fans really felt was the one piece that was going to be there. And so at this point, to have him batting just 229, his defense, he's had his issues at times, although I've frequently said I think his head kind of went out of the game when he was struggling with the bat, but I still think he has some talent, and I don't think they want to give up with him just yet. I think what they need to do for 2018 is to really give him one last chance. Really get to see if Franco can really get it together before they make the upgrade. Now we keep talking about Manny Machado constantly as a name that the Phillies would be interested in signing, but you don't know if he's available yet. He hasn't made it to free agency yet. You don't know if another team is going to even sign him that's not the Phillies. So if the Yankees open up their checkbook too, he might pick the Yankees, for example. So I think they have plenty of time to kind of see what happens with Franco. They have the luxury of having J.P. Crawford playing some third base now, and it gives them an extra layer of protection for 2018 if they so choose. So they have some options for 2018. I think what they really should do is just try to see this out, see if they can get his swing going, and really just it's kind of hard to give him more time given all that's happened. But they have a good starting nine going into next year. Even if they bring some younger players in and subtract maybe one or two of them in the infield, so they have options. I think the Phillies could still trade him if they get the right offer, or if he's part of a package that gets them a young starting pitcher in return, for example. But they have options, which is really nice in case he falters if he is back. But I think they should give him one more shot before they really make a final determination.
Frank Klose is in studio, the Phillies mailbag. On that note, free agency. If they were to be active in free agency, which, maybe not particularly a player, but which areas do you think they should target in free agency? Because all of a sudden, you have the makings of an intriguing team. I don't know that they're going to be a wild card team or a playoff team, but if you start April next year with Alfaro, Hoskins, I don't know what you're going to do in the middle, but some sort of Galvis, Crawford, Hernandez trio, Franco, Nick Williams, Herrera, and Altair, you're at least interesting. Way more interesting than you were when you started this year. So if they went out in free agency and did something, Frank, where would you like to see them go?
Well, it's kind of hard. I don't think, for example, the Phillies will sign a starting pitcher. I don't think that's the way to go in terms of adding starting pitching to the Phillies. If there's one name I do like on the free agent market, and that would be Alex Cobb of the Tampa Bay Rays. If they can get somebody like him, maybe on a 3-year deal, I think he would bring a good amount of stability. But besides that, I don't really see them adding anybody just yet. I mean, it's not a very particularly strong free agent class. But what I could see them doing is if they do make a trade with somebody like Cesar Hernandez, maybe you sign a veteran stopgap type that could kind of come to camp, and you can kind of declare that he's going to battle for the position with Scott Kingery, and kind of with the idea that you let the veteran type win, and Kingery spends a month or two at AAA. You do. Everybody likes to point out when the Cubs were getting good, how they kept some of their young players past the May 1st deadline, which essentially bought you another year. You really have to think hard about doing that with Scott Kingery. So maybe somebody who could play second base for a while before Kingery's ready. But really, given what's out there, given what the Phillies have, I think they have a lineup that they can field, and barring any trades. And really, maybe somebody like Alex Cobb. But I really don't see the Phillies being big players in free agency this year.
Would that be a disappointment?
No. If you look at the free agents that are available, there's nobody that's really particularly exciting, and there are big name pitchers. I think that we talked about last week. The likes of Jake Arrieta and Yu Darvish, but the teams that are going to sign players like that are going to be the ones that are ready to win next year, and I don't think you're going to have that with the Phillies, and it's not worth putting out all that money right now when they're going to have some bad years at the end of those contracts.
Frank Klose is with us. The Phillies' schedule for next season came out, and obviously we're looking ahead to next season. But the schedule, fun because every year they get some different road trips in there because of the Interleague stuff. So anything stand out? I know the Interleague stuff. I think they have the AL East coming in next year. So some of our listeners are going to get to maybe see them play nearby Baltimore. I think there's a couple games in Baltimore.
Yeah, so the Phillies are in Baltimore on a Tuesday and Wednesday in May 15th and 16th. So maybe not the ideal time with people working during the week, but that's certainly an easy trip for Phillies fans to make. And they're going to be in Tampa Bay. It's funny, they come back from spring training in Clearwater. They're going to go right back to Tampa Bay and play the Rays the 13th, 14th, and 15th in April. So if you don't get to go to spring training, maybe that's an opportunity to enjoy some weather down there. In terms of the Boston Red Sox, they do have 2 away games in July, Monday and Tuesday, July 30th and July 31st, which might interest fans. And Phillies don't get to play in New York against the Yankees, but the Yankees will be in town, as will the Toronto Blue Jays, and they're always good games to catch.
Yeah, Yankees going to be in Philly for the first time since 2006. The Interleague games will be on the road in Tampa, Baltimore, Boston, Toronto. So there's some good opportunities to jump on and see the Phillies on the road. They will host the Blue Jays, Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox as part of Interleague play. So the NL East taking on the AL East next year, and the 2018 schedule posted right now on our website, 973ESPN.com. And Frank will close out the mailbag today with a question regarding Pete Mackanin, the coach. A lot of people, he got that extension, but does Pete and the entire staff come back intact, do you think?
Yeah, I think they've earned another year for the most part. The one caveat I would make is I think they really want to find room for Dusty Wathan at some point. I think they're very high on him, and the fact that they moved him up from AA to AAA with all these young players which are now coming forth into the major leagues, I think they give him a lot of credit for their development. And I think that they might want to get him into the mix at some point. Where exactly, I don't know. But I think that we're really seeing that the coaching staff has kind of done a nice job sort of developing these players. Earlier this season, could we imagine Adam Morgan being a serviceable reliever? That's progress. Throwing some of these young players up from the minor leagues like Hobie Milner and right into the major league bullpen and pitching so well, I think that's progress. The young bats, certainly, the Phillies have the highest batting average, I think, since the All-Star break of any major league team. And that's progress, right? So I think they've done a good job, kind of in addition to working with these young players to be so productive. They also managed to hold steady as Michael Saunders played right field every single day. To bring up your earlier point,
Lineups out, by the way: Herrera, Galvis, Altair, Hoskins in the 4-hole, Williams, Franco, Alfaro, Crawford, and Pivetta for tonight. So Herrera
much more
leadoff.
exciting.
Yeah, the Hoskins in the 4-hole, and you've got Stanton on the other side. That's something I'd like to see.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Pete Mackanin kind of put him right into that spot when he got called up.
He batted like 7th one day and was like, "All right, you're up."
Yeah,
4th.
He got kind of blasted for that by some fans on Twitter, I noticed. But certainly he's taken right to it, and I think this will be a nice lineup tonight to see Altair, Hoskins, Williams, kind of all in a row, along with Alfaro's bat. I think this is a game where they're going to score some runs. J.P. Crawford hitting 8th and playing second base. Is that right?
Yep,
yeah.
That's a
so
4.
that will be that will be really interesting to see as well.
He's Frank Klose at Frank Klose with a K on Twitter. The Phillies mailbag, the Phillies and the Marlins tonight, and of course the Phillies wrapping up the 2017 season. You can check out the 2018 schedule right now on our website, 973ESPN.com. Happy birthday, Frank.
Thank you.